that the intention of wudu has to stay with you the whole way. So you can't start your wudu and then think, you know what, I'll break it. And then, actually, you know what, let me carry on. Like, you have to have wudu, the intention of wudu from the beginning till the end. That you are doing wudu the whole way. You can't have the intention that I'm going to break it or I'm going to do it. Okay, you know, salah's in 1 hour. I'll do the fresh wudu. Then right now, I'm feeling hot. I'll just make myself cold or whatever the case may be. You have to have the full intention the whole way. Number 6, the ceasing of the actions that nullify the ablution, meaning any of the things which nullify wudu, right, which we're gonna come to inshallah, that has to completely stop, right? So, for example, you can't be like doing wudu and releasing wind at the same time, for example, right? Anything which nullifies your wudu, you have to completely finish it before doing the wudu, right? If you start doing wudu and then you fall into one of the nullifies of wudu, then you have to start again. Okay. Number 7 is clean the private parts after using the washroom with water or clean dry objects. This is only if you need to use the bathroom, then only then, right? So you go and you do istinja, meaning you clean yourself with water, or you do istijmar. Istijmar literally means cleaning yourself with rocks, or nowadays with tissue as well. Okay. Now, with this, does the Sheikh explain it later? If he doesn't, I'll explain it now. If he does explain it later, we'll mention it later. One second. Okay, the Sheikh mentions it right at the end. Quick look. So the Sheikh mentions it right at the end, so we'll come back to that inshallah, okay? We'll come back to it. Meaning, so all you need to know right now is that if you need to use the bathroom, then you have to clean yourself either with water or with stones, rocks, and tissue, which we'll get to, and I'll explain that in more detail when the Sheikh mentions it, inshallah. If the Sheikh's going to mention it, we'll just stick to when the Sheikh mentions it, inshallah. Right? And this, like we said, is only if you need the bathroom. It's not for any other nullifier. Have water which has impurities in it. It can't be water where tea bag's gone into it. That's no longer water. And so it has to be clean, pure water. And it has to be permissible. Permissible meaning it's not stolen, for example. Right? You can't be doing an act of worship with something which is stolen. Somebody asked me a question yesterday as well. Can I steal some money and give that in charity? No, you can't. You can't. You can't just do something good. You can't do something haram to achieve that. Okay. So just because the ending is good doesn't mean that the way you got to that is something which is correct. Number 9, removing from the skin anything which may prevent the water from reaching it. Again, something very important. On the skin, you have to make sure that the water reaches everywhere on the skin. So having Tipex, having women having the nail polish, these type of things, this blocks the water from reaching the skin. So, for example, if a woman wants to have nail polish and varnish, whoever it's called, that prevents the water. So if she was to do wudu, that wudu would not be accepted. Why? Because the water is not reaching there. Okay? If they have henna on it, that's fine. Because that doesn't prevent the water from touching the skin. That's just a color on the skin. But anything that you paint, if somebody, especially if you're a janitor or if you're painting and so on, if that goes on your skin, that blocks the water. Okay?
If there's oil?
Oil is okay. Oil doesn't stop the water. So especially if you have, like something pure, baby oil and things like that, that's fine. So if you put water over it, especially if you rub it as well, that's fine, inshallah. Cream is okay as well, inshallah. I mean, look, the rule is it shouldn't block it. As for which things exactly block it, you could ask. I won't know every single thing, but the ruling is based upon what does the water reach or not. If it reaches, it's fine. If it blocks the water reaching the skin, then the wudu is not accepted.
We won't discover by the bandage then.
Like, no, okay, that's something different. If you have an injury, yeah, if you have an injury, right? If you're not able to take it off and there's no issue, then wipe over it. If you can't take it off, then you just wipe over it. You just wipe over. If you can't take it off and wash it, sorry, then you can wash it. But especially if it's what you call it, a cast, for example, that's very difficult to take off, right? That you can just wipe over. Number 10, the prayer time has entered for the one who nullifies the ablution continuously. This 10th condition is an extra condition for certain types of people, not for everyone. It is for those people who, they have an issue where constantly their wudu is being broken. So it'll be something called salasul bawl, where every few minutes, or sometimes more or less, drops of urine are coming out, for example. So we have this issue. Or, for example, a woman who has istihada. Istihada meaning she's bleeding, but it's not part of a menstrual cycle. This is extra blood that just constantly comes out, but it's not part of a cycle. Our cycle is 7 days, for example, and there's extra blood throughout the month. That's not considered hayd, that's extra. What is the ruling on this person? Because now this is something which breaks the wudu. Something that breaks the wudu, right? If urine drops are coming out, it breaks the wudu. What does this person do? Now, obviously, this person, if it's constantly coming out, then, if we say to him, no, you have to wait until you wudu, then he can't. So, he can still do wudu. However, he should make a new wudu for each salah, basically, each time of the salah. So, if Dhuhr is going to start in 3 hours, he doesn't do wudu now. Rather, once he wants to pray Dhuhr and Dhuhr time is entered, he does wudu and he prays straight after that. And likewise for the woman. So the 10th condition, the prayer time has entered for the one who nullifies the ablution, yani wudu, continuously. Now, after that we come to so how many conditions for wudu? 10. How many conditions for salah?
9.
9. And you could argue that wudu has 9 as well, and the 10th one is extra for some people. So don't worry, you're right. Okay, right. Recommended acts of cleanliness. Right. It's not particular to do with wudu. Right? The ulama call this sunan al-fitra. These are extra recommended actions to do with cleanliness generally. It's not with wudu. But the ulama mentioned it because wudu comes under a greater book of purification. So the ulama add other acts which are recommended that a person should do, and it's from purification generally. And the Shaykh has mentioned 6, in some hadith there's 10 and so on, but these are the main. Sorry, he's mentioned 7. These are the main 7. The first is circumcision. It is obligatory for the man and recommended for the woman if necessary. Number 2 till 5, trimming the mustache, clipping the nails, plucking the armpits, and shaving around the private areas. These 4 have been mentioned in one hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu. He said, we have been told regarding trimming the mustache, clipping the nails, plucking the armpits, and shaving around the private areas or private parts, that we do not leave it for more than 40 days. Meaning, the limit is 40 days. Every 40 days, that's the limit is that these things should be done. However, just because we said 40 days doesn't mean that you delay it till then. You should be doing it every week or every 2 weeks at least. However, if it's gone, you've been a bit lazy or whatever the case may be, it shouldn't go over 40 days. Number 6 is growing the beard. Now, growing the beard is not something which is recommended, mustahab, something good. It's something which is obligatory. And it's a command of the Prophet ﷺ. He made the command, lengthen the beard. It's a command. And you have to do it. You have to lengthen the beard. Anybody who shortens the beard and so on, then he is, or trims the beard, or whatever the case may be, he is sinning. As for the issue of taking after a fistful, that's the opinion of Ibn Umar. That's fine. But we're talking about, trimming the beard fully or clean shaving the beard. And that is something which is haram and a person is sinning. And number 7 is using the siwak, which is brushing the teeth using the branches of a specific tree, and a specific tree that you get the siwak from. It is recommended at all times, especially before ablution. And when should a person use the siwak? All times, 24/7. And there are certain times where it's even more recommended, especially before ablution, prayer, entering the house, reciting the Quran, waking up, when the mouth smells, and before death. Yeah, that's person what he did. From the last action that the Prophet ﷺ did is that person's looking at the siwak of the brother of Aisha anha, and Aisha realized, so she took the siwak and the Prophet ﷺ started doing the siwak, and then immediately after that the Prophet ﷺ passed away. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Growing the beard comes under cleanliness.
Sorry?
Growing the beard is coming under cleanliness.
It comes in cleanliness because we've talked about trimming the mustache and shaving the hair from everywhere else. So with that, we talk about other hair, which is the beard. Now, this is something that you have to. I mean, it comes under the topic. It's connected with what has been mentioned previously. Right, lesson number 13. Right, we've taken the conditions and also recommended acts of cleanliness. Now, with wudu, this next chapter, which is the obligatory actions of ablution, this is the main and most important part of the wudu. What are the obligatory acts of wudu? What are the obligatory acts of wudu? There are 6. And these 6 have all been mentioned in one ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah number 6, I think. No, I don't have it here, but I think it's the ayah number 6. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. O you who believe, إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ. If you want to get up and pray, فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. Wash your faces. وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ. And your hands until your, and including your elbows. وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. And wipe your heads. وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ. And wash your feet. إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْن, to your, and including your ankles. So as you can see, 4 body parts are mentioned in this ayah. Right? What are the obligatory acts of ablution? There are 6. Firstly, washing the face, rinsing the mouth, and cleaning the nose. The mouth and nose comes under the face. That's the first thing that Allah mentioned in the ayah. Then Allah mentioned the hands until the elbows. That's the second. Washing the arms from the fingertips to and including the elbows. Then Allah mentioned the head, wiping the head. So number 3 is wiping the entire head and the ears with it as well. And number 4, Allah mentions the feet. So the 4th is washing the feet, including the ankles. So you can see that where have we taken these obligations from? From this ayah. All from this ayah. Let's go through them one by one. Notice the first thing that is mentioned is washing the face. What's the first thing that we do in wudu? Wash your hands. We've mentioned the face. That shows us washing the hands in the beginning is not obligatory. Rather it is sunnah. If a person misses it out, then wudu is accepted. It's not complete, but it's accepted. And then sometimes it's important. If you are traveling, for example, you have less water, then what do? You don't wash your hands, that's recommended. You use that water with that which is obligatory and that which will make your wudu correct. The second issue is what is the boundary of the face. In terms of width, right? You say earlobe to earlobe, right? It's very important. If you look, those that have beards, for example, very important that if you look, you have a bit of skin which is between the sideburns and the ears. Yeah, you can see there is some skin between the ears and the sideburns. Right? This skin is that part of the boundary of the face. It's in between the earlobe. What happens? A lot of people miss it out because they get to the head and they think, we've done it, we've made it, and they forget. They forget the extra part of the skin. That part you have to also wash. You got beard? No. So you have to make sure that you wash this part as well. So when you wash your whole face, make sure you wash this part as well. And this is width. What about length? Then from where from basically they say the forehead to the chin. Where does the forehead start? Where your hairline starts from, right? So if somebody is bald, what does he do? He puts his whole head under the top, right? Yeah. Where his hair is meant to start from, right? Where his hair is meant to start from, that's where he washes from. And from the bottom is to his chin. What about if somebody has a beard? Then you have to be careful.
You have to put it in this.
Takhleel, that's sunnah. Right. Be careful. There's 2 types of beard. There's a thick beard and there's a thin beard. If the beard is thick, and when we mean thick, is where you can't see the skin. So look at my beard, this part you can't see the skin. Then it's obligatory to wash the whole beard on the outside. Okay? And if you can see the skin, so for example here on my cheeks, you can see the skin. This part you have to make sure that the water reaches the skin. So some people, even beard over here is a bit light, they can see the skin. They have to make sure that the water goes in and touches the skin. As for this is called takhleer liha, when you put your fingers inside your beard and so on, this is sunnah, this is extra. So if you've got a thick beard, you have to wash the outside because that's part of washing the face. Yeah. As for going inside into the beard, that's sunnah, that is something extra. Is that understood? Okay. So Fahad, what's the ruling of washing your beard? Inshallah, when you have a big beard, what's the ruling? Huh? Not paying attention?
He doesn't have a beard.
No, when you have a beard, you need to know so that when you have a beard, you know what to do. Wash it how much? Do I have to put my hands in?
No, it's sunnah.
It's sunnah. Okay. Do I have to make sure that the water touches the skin?
Yes.
All the time? You won't pay attention, will you?
So you have to make sure that the water reaches your skin.
All the time?
Yes.
Abdurrahman?
The same size.
You don't know? Right.
You have to wash your
Alright. Oh, wait, let me ask. Go ahead.
If you have a thin beard, then it makes sure you touch it.
Good. If you have a thin beard, meaning you can see the skin, then it has to touch your skin. And if you have a thick beard and you can't see the skin, then you have to wash the whole outside. And also bringing your fingers in, that is sunnah. Okay, so that is in regards to the face. Then we have washing the arms. Right. When you say from the hands to the arms, where does your hand start from? You start from there, or do you start from there, or do you start from there? No, it's from the fingertips, okay? Very important. A lot of people, when they get to their arms and they wash their hands, they put the water in their palms and they wash their arms, but they don't wash their fingertips. Now, this is something you have to wash. And don't think just because you washed it in the beginning, then that counts. No, because that was sunnah. This is the obligatory one. This is the main one. If you miss the first one, that's fine, but you can't miss this one. So make sure you wash from your fingertips all the way until and including your elbows.
Yeah, sorry, no. This is obligatory acts, but in the first part you differentiated between arkan and obligations.
No, this one there's no difference. There's no sunnah seven in the wudu.
No, there's nothing called arkan of wudu like.
No, this is the same thing. This is known as furud al-wudu. Furud al-wudu. They don't call it arkan. They call it furud. The third is wiping the head and the ears. So you get your hand and you start from where you finish washing your face, which is your hairline. Take it to the back. One time, that's obligatory. Doing it once is obligatory. And the sunnah is bringing it back as well. Okay? That's important to know because I know some youngsters like to have hairstyle and just want to take it back once and don't bring it forward. If they do, it's accepted. Because what's obligatory is wetting it all once. And then bringing it back is sunnah. Okay? And then washing the feet, including the ankles, the same regarding the hands that we said, make sure the whole feet, including the toes and everything.
So the ladies,
One time.
Yeah, one time is fine. They don't have to wash all the hair and all that.
so the ladies with long hair,
No, then they should, if they have long hair, they don't have to do the whole thing. Just till the back, just till there. Just
forward,
Yeah, no, just till there. Just till where a man would normally do it as well. To the back of the head.
not come forward again.
Well, yeah, now you would say it's sunnah because whatever's for the men is for the women as well. Unless there's a delay. Okay? But like you said, if they don't mess up their hair, that's one is enough. Right. So these four I mentioned. Questions at the end. I keep forgetting.
Sorry.
Questions at the end. Right. I make sure they're written down. Huh? First, right. The fifth obligation of wudu is washing the parts in order. Washing the parts in order. So these four things that we have mentioned, they have to be done in order. So if, for example, I was to wash my arms first and then my face, for example, would that be correct? No. So you have to wash it in the order that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned. And this is mentioned in the ayah as well. In the ayah, what's the proof that we have to do it in order? Right. Okay, this part's a bit. Okay, this part's a bit technical. I want you guys to think about it. Okay. this is extra faida for those that want to think about it. Allah in this ayah, He says, "Oh, you believe, if you want to pray, then wash your faces and focus on the word and, word. Wash your faces and wash your hands until your elbows and wipe your heads and wash your feet until your ankles." The word and in Arabic, the word in Arabic, it doesn't show tartib. It doesn't show any order. If I say dakhala Muhammadun wa Aliyun, Muhammad and Zayd or Muhammad and Ali came in, right? Who came in first? It doesn't show, right? And that's different too if I said dakhala Muhammadun fa Aliyun or thumma Aliyun. Muhammad entered and then Ali. Then we know Muhammad came first and Ali came second. So you may say Allah mentioned it in this order, but somebody could argue, but Allah uses the letter waw, which means and. It doesn't show an ordering. So even though Allah mentioned it in that order, you could argue that Allah mentioned it in that order, but it's permissible to do others because Allah used the word waw, and He didn't use any other word to show that you have to do it in order. Does that make sense? Yeah. But how do you show that it is obligatory to do it in order? Huh? Command to wash, but not command to do it in the order.
The Prophet said,
Okay, that's one. We could say that the Prophet ﷺ always did it in this order. He never differed in the order, showing that you have to follow the order. That's one answer. What else? Sorry? That's what you mentioned. Sunnah. There's another hadith where the Prophet said, "Ibda bima bada Allah bih." In Nasa'i and in Muslim, "Abda bima bada Allah bih." I start with what Allah started with. So to use this hadith, that shows that Allah started with certain things, you start with that. So that's using the hadith. But there's another way as well. So these are two we mentioned, but there's a third way within the ayah as well. I want you guys to think about it. If you can get it, you can get it. Inshallah. Think about it. Allah says in this ayah, wash the face, and then wash the hands until the arms, then wipe the head, and then wash the feet. From top to bottom?
Sequence like from mouth, then the last is feet.
No, because it's on your face, then on your arms, then you come back to your head.
It is because of why.
Ah, very good. Very good, uncle. Now, it's because if you notice in this ayah, Allah says, wash. Focus on the word wash. Wash the face, wash the arms, then wipe the head, and then back to wash. In Arabic, from eloquence, is that if you want to mention something, you mention everything which is the same type in one place. And then you mention the other topics in a different place, right? And you don't miss and match things. So the fact that Allah mentioned wash and another wash, and in between Allah added a wipe, right? And Allah in the Quran is the most eloquent that you can get, right? That shows there must have been a reason for it. And what other reason is there apart from that it shows that it has to be in order? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah? No?
Yeah, from the language.
From the language. Obviously, we have the other proofs as well. The Sunnah of the Prophet, also his statement start with what Allah started with. But also from the ayah itself. Yeah, it shows, subhanAllah, this is what you call tadabbur. You ponder over the Quran and you extract the rules from the ayah itself. Do you understand? Fahad, do you understand?
yes.
Explain it to me. Explain what you understand.
We have to do it in order because Allah said us to wash our hands, then face, then wipe our head,
Face, then hands and arms.
and then wipe our head,
Wipe the
and
head.
then wash our feet again.
Now wash the feet again. How does that show it? No, so you didn't understand.
It's from the eloquence of the Quran that you mentioned the same things first. So why
Same thing
came in the
together.
middle?
Very good. From eloquence is that you mentioned everything together. But the fact that Allah added a wipe in the middle, then that shows that there is a reason. Okay, and then the sixth obligation is continuity. What this basically means, the Arabic word is muwala. Muwala. Mim waw alif, lam alif, tam marbuta. Muwala basically means that you don't leave such a time gap between the two that it causes the previous body part to dry up. You do not leave a long gap between two body parts so long that it causes the previous one to dry up. For example, I'm washing my face, and I've come to my arm. But then I get a phone call, right? And now I'm on the phone 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Okay, so now I go. And now I'll carry on. Right, I've done my face, now my hands, my arms. Is that allowed?
No.
Why?
Because
Yeah, but at that time it would have dried. Okay, what if I'm doing wudu and Fahad walks in and he says, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? And I say, Wa alaikum assalam, good, how are you? And he says, Alhamdulillah. And then I carry on.
Yeah, you can.
As long as
Now, it's it's a very short period of time, and normally nothing will dry. And how long is that time? Just urfan, whatever is normally known. Okay, generally, if somebody's standing right under the AC, for example, and then that or under the sun and it's causing it to dry quicker, we don't look at that. We look at the normal time that it will take, a few minutes or whatever it may be. So these are the 6 obligations of wudu. And there are a few recommended actions, which is that the obligation is doing all of these once. Recommended is doing it thrice or even twice. It's been narrated the Prophet washed everything once. It's been narrated he washed everything twice. It's been narrated he washed everything thrice. And it's also been narrated that he switched it up. This thing once or twice, and then something else 3 times and something else once. It's all allowed. But the best generally is 3 times. But all of the other ways have been narrated. Do we wipe the head 3 times as well? No. Head is on. The head is on. Also, another recommended act is to say the basmala. Say Bismillah before doing wudu. If you remember, let's say Bismillah before doing wudu. What happens if you remember during the wudu?
Then
You'll start again.
no, it's allowed if you forget.
No, so if you remember whilst doing wudu, then just whenever you remember, say it and then carry on. Whenever you remember, say it and carry on, inshallah. So this is in regards to the obligations of wudu. How many conditions of wudu? 10. Who says 6? 10. Right. How many sunnah al-fitra, recommended acts of cleanliness? You mentioned? You mentioned 7. You mentioned 7. And then how many obligations of wudu? 6. Now we come to the nullifiers of wudu. The nullifiers of wudu. There are how many are there? There are 6. How many nullifiers are there? There are 6. Okay? Right. I'm going to try to go through this a bit quicker and summarize because I want to try to get the ghusl and also wiping over the socks and these type of issues as well, inshallah. And I don't want to go too late past 10 o'clock because I know that is quite late. Okay? Questions, write them down. If you finish, the time's finished, feel free to come to me and ask me later, inshallah. But there are 6. We'll go through them quickly, inshallah. The first is whatever exits from the 2 private parts. Whatever it may be, anything comes out of the 2 private parts, then it breaks the wudu. There's one exception, and this is for the women, which is that if they have this continuous type of discharge, which is it's not blood, it's another fluid, they know what it is. That doesn't break their wudu. That doesn't break their. Because it's like sweating, something like that for them. That doesn't break their wudu, and this is what Ibn Athing rahimahullah mentioned. And there was a detailed research regarding this. I forget there was a woman that did detailed research on this that Ibn Athing also read. I can't remember her name. But anyways, she went into details regarding this issue. And so for the women that do find this continuous discharge, which isn't blood, and it's just like they know what it is, that doesn't break the wudu. So that is fine. But generally, anything that exits from 2 private parts breaks the wudu. And there are certain things which not only break the wudu, but they require you to do a ghusl, such as mani, which we'll get to shortly. Number 2 is the exiting of impure substances from other parts of the body. Okay, so this includes whether it's even urine or in other things that come up. Some people are ill and they have to urinate from other parts. They have to have a pipe and so on. That would break the wudu. And likewise, other things which, I mean, this is the opinion of Ibn Baz rahimahullah, right? But if you look at what Shaykh Haytham says, if you look on the next page, which is that the correct opinion is that it doesn't nullify the wudu. Even though Shaykh Ibn Baz mentioned this, the correct opinion is that it doesn't break the wudu. So if somebody bleeds, for example, it doesn't break the wudu. Okay? and there's many proofs for this. From them is the story of Umar when he was stabbed, right? He continued praying until he actually fell down and he couldn't pray. But if he got stabbed and he saw blood coming out and he knew that it would break his wudu, then then he would not have prayed. I mean, look, a lot of these Khalafi issues we don't want to go into. Just want to do. I mean, the other opinion they have their own answers as well. They say, yeah, but what is he meant to do? He's dying. He wants to pray. So that was darura. You know, there's other answers and stuff. But ala kulli hal, if other things come out of the body, it doesn't break the wudu, inshallah. So number 2, we can look over for now. Number 3, losing consciousness due to sleep or other than it. And if you lose consciousness, you faint, you fall asleep, or whatever it may be, it breaks the wudu. And what type of sleep? That sleep, if you lose your senses, even for a second, then that breaks your wudu. So for example, inshallah, not in my class, not Sheikh Ahmed's, but somebody else's class, if you feel a bit tired, and you're doing this, yeah, but you can hear everything that's going on. You know the Sheikh's talking about this, that's fine. Okay? But it's fine in terms of your wudu, but in terms of getting told off by the teacher, it might not be fine. But that's fine. But if it comes to that stage where you've lost your senses, even if you're leaning or not leaning, doesn't matter what it is, you've lost your senses, meaning you don't know what's going on, then your wudu has broken. And some ulama do mention that if you're leaning and so on, these are just examples of where it's more likely for you to lose your senses. Okay, so if you don't know what's going on and you lose your senses even for a second, that's when you break your wudu. The 4th is touching the private parts without a barrier. So if you directly touch your private parts, the front or the back, that breaks your wudu. And number 5, eating camel's meat. In the hadith Prophet in the Sahih, where the Prophet he said, he was asked, أَنَتَوَضَّأُ مِنْ لُحُومِ الْغَنَمِ, should we do wudu from eating the meat of sheep? And the Prophet said, if you want to. You don't have to, it doesn't break your wudu. And then he was asked, what about camel's meat? And the Prophet said, nah, yes. So due to that hadith, it shows us that if you eat camel meat, then you have to do wudu. So be careful if you go out to eat and you're having camel's meat, then you have to do wudu. These are 6, and then 6th one is leaving Islam. May Allah protect you and I from that. And then the Shaykh talks about 2 others that do not actually break the wudu, which is washing the dead body. If you wash the dead body, it doesn't break the wudu, even though it's recommended. You should do it, but it doesn't break the wudu. And the other is touching a woman. Some ulama mentioned if you touch a woman, it breaks the wudu. The correct opinion is that it does not break the wudu, because the Prophet himself would kiss his wife Aisha and then go for salah, and he wouldn't do wudu. So that shows that it's permissible to do so. So in total, the author mentioned 6, but we say 5, because the second one we said, inshallah, it doesn't break the wudu. No. And then after that, the Shaykh has the general way of the whole description of how to do wudu. You can read that in your own hand, and you can see some of the pictures how the Shaykh is washing and so on. You can see on page 19. You can see, if you look at the picture, when rinsing the nose, you put in the water with the right hand, which is known as al-istinshaq. Al-istinshaq. Okay, that's putting the water in. But then bringing the water out, you do it with your left hand, and that's called al-istinthar. Al-istinthar. You have al-istinshaq and al-istinthar. Okay. And you can see about the beard and everything. And on the next page, so if you look on page 130, if you look at the bottom, you can see how we shouldn't waste water. So we shouldn't, if washing until the elbows, and including the elbows, we don't wash until the shoulder, right? Likewise, after doing masjid, we don't wipe over the neck. That's an innovation. We don't wipe over the neck. Nothing's been narrated from the Prophet ﷺ regarding wiping over the neck. Likewise with the feet. When you wash your feet, you don't wash your shins. Just the feet until and including the ankles. Okay? So that, alhamdulillah, we finished with wudu. Now we're going to quickly take a few other extra issues which are important. We'll try to go through it quickly, inshallah. The first is dry ablution, يعني التيمم. We're talking about التيمم. التيمم is very easy. Tayammum is a substitution for wudu, meaning you can't find water or you can't use water, right? If you can't, even if you have water but you can't use it, then that it takes the same ruling. Okay, whether a person's got an injury or whether the water is in a certain place where he can't attain it, whether even buying the water is really expensive, you can't use that water, then that would come under not being able, not having water. So if you read, it is a substitution for the ablution with water if one is excused from using water to wash the body parts, either due to the non-existence of water or fearing harm if water is used. Sand or earth generally is used instead of water. What's the description? You make the intention to make tayammum. You say Bismillah. You touch the earth, the clean earth, once with both hands. That's it. That's simple. And then what do? You wipe the face and the back of each hand. So you can look in the pictures. You get it? You wipe the face and you wipe the back of the hands. Just the back. You don't need to wash. You don't need to wipe the inside. And that's it. Tayammum's done. So the back of the hands, and that's it. Tayammum. Very easy. You bang your hands once, and then over the face, the whole face, and then all over the back of the hands, and that's it. Huh? You don't need to blow. You don't need to blow. No. I mean, if you want to take a bit of excess off, that's on the next page, it is not legislated to spread the fingers, right? So you don't need to go in. You like wodhu, you have to make sure that the water reaches everywhere. You don't have to do that for tayammum. You're just on top. Very, very easy. Right. Now we finished tayammum. Very easy. At the end. Now we move on to ghusl. Remember we talked about ghusl before. We talked about from the conditions of salah is removal of hadath, which is a spiritual state of impurity. So there was two types, major and minor. Minor impurity is that which requires wodhu. And we've explained when you need to do wodhu, yani the nullifiers of wodhu and the obligations of wodhu and the conditions of wodhu, we've done that. But we've not taken hadath al-akbar, major impurity, which is when you need to do a ghusl. That's what we're going to take it now. We're going to take how to do it and when you need to do it. Okay? The Sheikh is going to mention two ways of how to do ghusl. Two ways. Firstly, the obligatory way, meaning the minimum amount that you have to do. And then secondly, the recommended, the full sunnah way of doing it. I'll make it easy for you. The obligatory thing is basically make sure the water reaches everywhere. That's all it is. You just have to make sure that the water reaches everywhere. That's the main thing. Okay? But we'll have a read of what the Sheikh says. He says, one intends to take a shower. Obviously, you have to make your intention, right? In order to be pure from major impurity. You say Bismillah, pour water over the entire body, under the hair, whether they are thin or thick, and rinse the mouth and the nose. Rinse the mouth and clean the nose. Okay? Basically the whole body. Make sure the water reaches everywhere. Under the skin, in your mouth and nose, you have to make sure that the water reaches everywhere. If you do that, ghusl is complete. But what's the sunnah way of doing it? We can read the next one, the recommended actions during the shower. Washing the private parts. First you wash the private parts. And if you can, nowadays you have shower heads, so it's a bit easier. But if you have to have, if you have to use your hands or whatever it may be, then pour with your right hand and you wash with your left hand. Okay? And then you wash your both hands, then you wash your hands, and you make wodhu. You make wodhu, and if you're in a place where water is being jammed together, then you don't wash your feet, and you can wash your feet at the end. Or if the water doesn't get stuck and the water just goes down the drain, then you can wash your feet there. It's not an issue. Then, or at the end, it's fine, because in ghusl, muwala is not a condition. Muwala is not an obligation. Muwala meaning not leaving a tanga, that's not a condition or an obligation when it comes to ghusl. Okay, so even if you, let's say, you do the ghusl and you left something out, you left your right foot somehow, okay, or you missed something out. So remember, after finishing, of course, you can just go and just wash your feet, just that foot, and you don't have to do the whole thing again, because muwala is not a condition or an obligation for ghusl. Once you've done wudu, what do? You wash the roots of the hair. Yani, you pour water over your head 3 times, and you make sure the water reaches the roots of the hair. Right? So, and it's, especially for women, they might have long hair, it might be difficult, but they have to make sure the water goes to the roots, and it gets to the skin, to their head, and not just on top. Okay? Wudu is different. Wudu is nice and easy, but ghusl has to go in. and then you pour water over your entire body. Sorry. Wash the right side of the body and wash the left side of the body. So you wash the rest of the body, and similar to wudu. In wudu, you should do the right side first and then the left. Like when you also do the right side first and then you do the left side. And then finally you wash both feet if you didn't wash them before. Okay? So in simple terms, what do? You wash the private parts, you do wudu over your head, and the rest of the body right and left, and that's it, you finished. And then feet at the end. Okay? When is having a shower obligatory? When is having a shower obligatory? So we might mention a few things. I'll try to just summarize because a few children are here and so on. But inshallah, I think you should understand, inshallah. The first thing which makes ghusl obligatory is major impurity. Yeah, being in the state of major impurity. What that basically means is one or two things. Either sperm has come out, semen has come out, whichever way it may be. Okay? Whether it's through relationships with a spouse or even by a person doing it himself, even though it won't be allowed, because semen came out, it's obligatory. Or the second, it says when the male and female organ meet. What this basically means, okay, is when a person has a relationship with their spouse, that when the head of the private part of a man enters into the private part of the woman. So as soon as the head cannot be seen, then it is obligatory to have a ghusl. It's not a condition for a person to necessarily finish their relationships. As soon as the head of the private part of the man goes into and disappears within the woman, then it is obligatory. The second, and this is the main one. This is the main thing which makes a ghusl obligatory. And then the two, which is for women, menstruation and postnatal bleeding coming out. Yani, once they finished their cycle, then they have to shower. Number three, death of other than a martyr. If somebody passes away, I mean, obviously they passed away, but it's obligatory upon the Muslims to wash that dead body. If somebody passes away, it's obligatory upon the Muslims to wash that dead body. And lastly, a new Muslim accepting Islam, he should also have ghusl. We have, right, we've got 2 pages left. 2 pages left, alhamdulillah. The next issue is of wiping over the socks. Wiping over the socks. So any questions? Wiping over the socks is permissible, but with a number of conditions. 3, the shoes or socks must be clean. They must be clean. So you can't, if there's impurities or anything like that, you can't do much and wipe over them. Number 2, and this is one of the most important ones, okay? You must have put the socks on when one had ablution and washed it. Meaning, when should you wear the socks? After doing wudu. You should do wudu first and then wear the socks. Not, let's say I've woken up, okay? Fahad, tell me this, right? You paying attention? Yeah? Right. No? I repeat, you have to wear the socks after doing wudu and not before. So for example, I wake up, right? I'm feeling cold, so the first thing I do is to put my socks on. And then I go to the bathroom and I do wudu. Am I allowed to wipe over my socks?
No.
No, why?
Because you did not have wudu before that.
I did not have wudu. Okay. What if I get up, I do I do wudu, and then I wear my socks, and then later on I break my wudu. I want to do new wudu now. Can I wipe now? Yes, because when I wore the socks, I was in the state of wudu. The third is wiping is only done when making ablution and not taking a shower. Wiping is only for wudu, not for ghusl. And it covers most of the feet. And if there's holes or something, it's fine. As long as it's still considered a sock, it's fine. Okay? Not, and that doesn't mean you should be walking around. If you can change your socks. But in terms of just a small hole or something affect it, it doesn't. It doesn't affect it. Yeah, that's a good point. The socks itself should cover until the ankles. Okay?
It needs to cover the part which you wash.
No, the part which you normally wash. It should cover till there. So those ankle socks that people have that shows the ankles, they're not covering the ankles, you can't do masah over there. So if you wear it and there's holes and there's parts showing here and there, then that's fine. And the same majority of the Sahaba, many had holes in the. What about the time? How long can you wipe for? Every single person?
And then the fall of
What is travel long?
3 days.
Okay, very good. If a person is not traveling 24 hours, 1 day. And if he is traveling 3 days, how many hours? 72. Right? 72 hours. When does the time start? Check when time begins from the first wiping. The first wipe. Not when you from when you wipe. So, right, Abdurrahman, let me ask you this, right? I wake up for Fajr, and I do wudu, and after doing wudu, I wear my socks, right? And then I keep wudu until 10 a.m. Until 10. Abdurrahman, what was your name? Abdullah, right? Abdullah, I'm asking you. So I break my wudu at 10 o'clock. Dhuhr time comes at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, I do wudu and I wipe my socks. Until when can I do wudu the next day? Is it Fajr, or is it 10, or is it 12?
Next Fajr.
Fajr.
No,
10 o'clock.
Oh, the
Right.
first.
He said Fajr, he said 10, he said
That's the
12.
first wipe. It's the first wipe.
What did I wipe? No. When we say first wipe, we mean, we didn't wipe it. At Fajr time, I didn't wipe.
Okay, so 10 a.m.
10 a.m. I broke the wudu.
Yeah, 12 when you.
Because you got the Indian. 12 o'clock, right? So if I woke up for Fajr, wudu, and then I put the socks on, I broke it later, and then at Dhuhr time I did I wiped over. I have until tomorrow Dhuhr time. Okay, because that's when I wiped. Okay. How to wipe over the socks? Very easy, right? You just wet your hands like you do for masah. You just wipe over them. That's it. Pass the right hand over the right foot and the left hand over the left foot simultaneously from the toes to the ankles. The top of the feet only, not the bottom. That's it. So you have your feet and that's it. Simple as that. Some extra issues. If the time for wiping ends of the sock or the sock is removed, the ablution remains and is not nullified. Meaning, if the 24 hours finishes, so next day is Dhuhr. Right? So stay with me, yeah? We've said that the first day I wiped over at Dhuhr time. I have until tomorrow Dhuhr time to wipe. At 11 o'clock, I did wudu and I wiped. So I'm in the state of wudu. 12 o'clock comes. 24 hours is finished. Right? Does my wudu break? No, it doesn't break. If I take my socks off at that time, or any time during the day I take my socks off, does it break my wudu? No. Taking off the socks does not break the wudu. Taking off the socks does not break the wudu. And this is an issue. Those that say it do have a strong point. However, there's one narration narrated by Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah on Ali radiallahu anhu. Ali radiallahu anhu, he walked into the masjid, he had done masah, and he took off his socks and he prayed salah. So the tabi'i asked him, why did you do that? Why didn't you do wudu? And if you've taken your socks off, can I pray in does it break my wudu if I take my socks off, or can I pray? And he said, هكذا رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يفعل. This is how I saw the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم do. The Prophet had done masah, and he had taken it after doing the masah. He took his socks off and he prayed without doing the wudu, showing that it doesn't break. And secondly, there's no other proof to show. This is something that is widespread, right? And there's no other proof whatsoever to show that taking off your socks is to break your wudu. So inshallah, the correct opinion is that it doesn't break your wudu. The last thing inshallah, right, is in regards to the manners of using the toilet. Okay, it's very important. This is linked in with cleanliness, so we're gonna talk about this. Some of the rulings of how to use the bathroom. Quickly read through it, inshallah. It is recommended to, when you entering the toilet, is that you enter with your left and you make the dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal khaba'ith. And then when you leave to really leave with your right foot and say ghufranak. It's obligatory to use the toilet in a closed place, away from everyone, if outside. And nowadays we have places inside, but if argument's sake you're outside in the desert, you need to use the bathroom, it's obligatory for you to go to a place where no one can see you. That is obligatory, so that no one can see you. It is not allowed to relieve oneself on the street where people sit, on the trees bearing fruits, or in a place that harms the people, or in flowing water. Right? It's not allowed. Like I said, now we have places for toilets and so on, but if you are in a situation, maybe you're traveling and so on, you're not allowed to relieve yourself in these places. You're not allowed to turn oneself or back towards the qibla whilst relieving yourself, especially if you're out in the open. If you're inside the building, then there's some khilaf amongst the ulama. To touch the organ with the right hand, to touch your private parts with the right hand. You should do that with your left hand. To mention Allah, to mention Allah or the Quran or anything like that within these places. Once they relieve themselves, they should clean themselves with water or dry objects. This is what we talked about before. You remember? Yes. Istinja and istijmar. And I said the Sheikh's going to mention it. SubhanAllah, it's the last thing that the Sheikh mentions. Okay? So from the conditions of wudu is that you have, if you use the bathroom, you have to clean yourself. With water is understood. What about istijmar? Istijmar literally means using rocks. So that's what they used to use in that time. But it includes any object and it includes tissues, right? The best, what the ulama mentioned, is that you use water first and then these objects. Okay, use water first. نعم يجوز الحجارة الماء لا water first and these objects. Water first and then these objects. All the way around. The best is using both. I can't remember which order it is right now. The second is just using water. Water, and the third is just using these objects. It's permissible just to use these objects, right? Even if you have water, it is permissible. Right? Obviously, the best, like we said, is to use water as well, but it is permissible. However, it is only permissible with a number of conditions.
We can't carry things in the name of Allah.
Yeah. You can't. If it's inside your pocket, that's fine, because that's covered. Especially if, like sometimes you have money. Money has sometimes, especially maybe in some of the Arab countries, it has the name of Allah or Muhammad or, whatever it may be. Now you can't leave that outside. Somebody might take it, so you can put it. Likewise, if you have a mushaf in England, some people, if you have the mushaf in your bag, if you leave the bag outside, it's not like Kuwait, we're scared somebody might steal the bag. So the ulama say, in this case, if it's inside your bag, you can take your bag inside into the bathroom because there's a need, somebody might steal your bag otherwise. Or if you're traveling, whatever the case may be. But generally, you shouldn't take any of those things inside. Right. It has allowed for you to do istijmar with certain conditions. Let's read these conditions. The conditions of dry cleaning are to wipe at least 3 times, so one does not wipe with the same place thrice. So you have to, if you are using these objects, it has to be a minimum of 3 times. Right? Even if the najasa is gone, that the impurity has gone after the first wipe, you have to do a minimum of 3. If after 3 wipes, the impurities are still there, then you continue until the impurity is completely gone. Okay? The minimum is 3, unless the impurities are still there. If they are still there, then you continue until the impurity is removed. Is that understood? Yeah? Is that understood?
Yes.
Those at the back, understood?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, repeat what I said right at the end. No, you're at the end. Yeah, you just came from outside. Okay, next to you then. What did I say? I don't know. You say pay attention, okay? So the first condition is that it has to be a minimum of 3 wipes. And if the najasa is still there, then you have to keep wiping until the impurities is removed. The second, the object must be pure. Yani, it can't be something which has impurity. You can't clean impurities with something which is impure, right? That's understood. The object must not be impure. They use the English word impure, but we can say something respected as well, such as food or using bone and dung. Bone and dung, that's the food of the jinn, so we're not allowed to use that as well. Or books of knowledge, anything like that, anything respected, then we can't use that as well. And there's another condition which will add, the Sheikh didn't mention it, but add another condition, which is that you have cleaned it so much that whatever is left cannot be cleaned except with water. So you've cleaned using tissue, for example. You've cleaned it so much that whatever is left, that can only be removed with water. If it can be removed with tissue or objects, they have to keep wiping until that is also cleaned. Okay? So how do we know it is clean? We know that it is clean, that the amount is left cannot be removed except with water. Okay? And then one last issue the Shaykh mentions is that it is permissible to urinate standing. Right? It has been narrated. It is permissible, but with conditions. If one is certain that the urine will not go onto the clothes and it will not expose the private parts to others. If somebody is sure that no one can see them and there will be no splashbacks on them or on their clothes, then it is permissible to stand up and to relieve themselves, because it is mentioned in a hadith. With that, alhamdulillah, we've finished the book. Now I'm just going to quickly take some questions from the sisters. The brothers, you can ask your questions after we've finished. Inshallah, I'm here, so you can ask me after we've finished. One question online. Send me. What's the question?
If we're doing masa on the socks, should we wipe simultaneously or go wipe right foot first or left foot?
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Plus, the question is, one question online is, if you're wiping over the socks, does it have to be simultaneously, or can we do one before the other? Both are fine. It should be simultaneously. That's how it's been narrated. But if one does one before the other, it's fine. Okay. I've got some questions here. A patient on catheter, I don't know what that is, after surgery, how can he know if the wudu is nullified? Well, I'm guessing it's something that makes you.
It's a tube, but inside that's fine.
It's a tube that goes inside the private parts.
I think to remove the urine.
To remove the urine? No, I don't know. No.
No, that's correct. To remove urine.
Yeah?
I think you should check. You said anything that comes out, any other part of the body, you refer to like.
Well, if you anything that comes out of the private parts, or even if it's urine that comes out from elsewhere, then it does. So I'm guessing it would. However, look at fatwa ulama. This requires a fatwa. Maybe the ulama allow it due to necessity, but look into it, inshallah. The other question, brothers at the end. The other question is, when wiping over head, do our fingers touch the scalp? Yeah, you just, if you have your hair, just get your hand and just go. That's it. And you don't need to go like that and scratch yourself and so on. Just like that, that's fine. Okay? That's fine. So just get your hand and wipe over. It should touch your head. It should touch your head. And you just go over and you come back. You put a bit of pressure, but you don't need to go too much, inshallah. Okay, we're going to finish now with 3 questions for prizes, inshallah. The sisters also have 3 questions as well. Okay. One of them I want to give to, there was a 9-year-old who had memorized the conditions, and I think majority of the pillars of salah, and also I think I didn't check after that, but I'm pretty sure she must have memorized other things as well. One prize will go to her, inshallah, because she memorized. Okay, and she did something which a lot of adults don't even know. So one goes to her. So for the sisters, there are 2 questions left. So I'll say the questions for the sisters, and then they can just work it out themselves. What should I ask them? Make it easy or hard? One thing about salah, one thing about wudu for the sisters. Plus, whoever can name all of the conditions and pillars of salah. That's one question. Conditions and pillars of salah, both. Okay, so in total that is 23 points that they have to mention. That's one question. And the second question for the sisters is, who can explain the issue of sujood sahu fully? So the whole diagram, who can explain it, inshallah. So these 2 questions for the sisters, and somebody can test them on that side and give out the remaining 2 prizes Inshallah. As for the brothers, right. The hard questions are easy questions. Right. Now we have three, right? Okay, we have three prizes for the brothers, right? I asked the sisters regarding the conditions and the pillars. So for the brothers, obligations and nullifiers of Salah. First, your hand up one first.
Obligation.
How many first?
Obligations are 7, 8.
Make your mind up.
Yeah.
8.
I'll tell all the obligations. I'll count it.
They'll come. Okay,
I'll
class.
deal with the-
Okay, class.
Okay. All tashaddud, all what is it? What we call that?
What is it?
Takbir. All takbir, except the first takbir.
All takbirat apart from the first. Yeah.
Then Sami Allahu liman hamida, Imam, and the one who is playing alone.
So Alhamdulillah for the Imam and one praying along. Good.
Rabbana lakal hamd with everyone, and Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, bowing, Subhana Rabbiyal Ala in prostration. Then Rabbik Firli, sitting between the prostration. Then first Tashaddud, sitting between the
Tashahhud
sitting in the Tashaddud.
and sitting in the shahud. Okay. Tashahhud with a ha, not the dal.
Tashaddud.
No, tashaddud. Tashahhud.
Tashahhud.
Yeah, tashahhud. Good. Right. And the nullifiers of Salah.
Yeah. So speaking in salah, laughing, eating, drinking, deviating more from qibla, then moving, and breaking of wodhu.
Any type of movement?
There are different types of
Well, which one breaks your Salah?
moving a lot, continuous movement.
A lot and it's continuous. No. Okay.
So there are different types of movement.
No, it's okay. Have you mentioned all of them? No, he's got how many left? 2 left, huh? One left. One nullifier left.
Exposing the private parts.
Exposing the private parts now. Any left? One more? Plus one more.
Okay, speaking, intentionally speaking,
Yeah.
then eating, drinking, laughing, exposing the private parts, deviating from the qibla, moving, continuous moving, breaking of wodhu.
Breaking over the accent. Plus, he's got it in total. That's fine. That's nice. تفضل. You can do this, inshallah. بارك الله فيك. Right, second question. So that's regarding wudu, because I think Salah, I tested you guys a few times, so you should know the Salah. So I think the wudu will be a bit harder. Okay? Right. Obligations of wudu. Your hand over first.
First we will touch
The face, okay?
then
What's included in the face?
the starting of the
No, that's fine. Anything else? Just washing the face like this? Like, including the whole body?
Yeah.
That's it? And the beard. That's it?
Yes.
Ears? No, the ears is...
This part which is
Yeah, but just washing of the face? So if I get water, I wash the whole thing like this, and I make sure it's on my beard. I make sure water's everywhere.
mouth.
Good. Yeah. Washing the mouth and the nose as well. Yeah.
Okay. And then firstly I think hand from the starting of the fingertip to the elbow,
Till or including?
including the elbow. Okay. Then first for the steps. Okay. And after the first for washing the legs till Ka'b.
washing the feet until the ankles.
And tartib and wada.
ترتيب الموضوع. Okay, good. Two elders, I want one of the youngsters to answer now, inshallah. Yeah, one of the youngsters. These two I've not asked. Yeah, one of the youngsters, inshallah. The youngsters, who can tell me how to do tayammum? Let's go hand on first.
First, we have to keep our hands on the ground, and then we should wash our
Anything before? You say anything? Okay, good. Intention?
Then Bismillah.
Bismillah.
Keep our hands on the ground.
Yeah.
And then we should wash our face.
Wipe your face now.
Yes.
And then?
The upper part of your hand.
Okay. Should I go inside my fingers?
Yes.
No. Good. Right. Very good. Okay, alhamdulillah. I've got a few more questions here. So I'll just answer these questions when we finish, inshallah. The 7 body parts, does the nose and the forehead count as one? Yeah, this is one. This is one. Right? So this part, that's one body part. Then the 2 hands, 2 knees, and 2 feet.
Nose is not big.
No, just this part here. No, this part here. For deeper rulings, inshallah, I said once I'm back in UK, I do plan on starting a fiqh class anyway. So class, you can join that, inshallah. Or maybe next time I come, we were thinking of doing Manhaj al-Salikin, a fiqh book, inshallah. So inshallah, in the future we'll do something, inshallah. Then put socks in my then take off my socks. Now, if you've done wudu, then you put your socks on and you've broken your wudu and you've done masah over it, and your wudu now is based upon the masah, the wiping. If you take off your socks, what do we say? It doesn't break your wudu, so the wudu is fine. The wudu is fine. So if you take off your socks, always when you talk about taking off the socks, we're talking about the socks that you wiped over. By taking off the socks, it doesn't break the wudu. Okay, unless you break your wudu. If you've broken your wudu then, from the other nullifiers, then because of either you've taken it off or the timing has finished, then you have to do a new one. But that's not because of you've taken it off or the timing finishing. That's because of breaking the wudu due to the nullifiers of wudu.
If I take off the socks, I have to my wudu, and again I wear the socks. Can I do that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Can I do that?
That's fine. So you've done wudu, you put on socks, you took it off, and you put socks back on, and then after that, you broke your wudu and yeah, that's fine. That's fine, inshallah.
How many times can I run?
As many times, as long as it's within the time limit. No, inshallah. Because any of the questions you can ask me privately, I don't want to take too much of your time. Jazakallah khair. I know it was long, and I know it's late. Jazakallah khair for your patience. But it's very important. Try to mention the most important things. And do join us for the other lessons as well. Like I said, tomorrow 6:15. What was it again? Mishrif. At 6:15 a.m. we're going to go through the book, the summary of Ta'adim al-Ilm. Likewise on the weekdays. This week we still have our course going through the rights. This week we're going to talk about the rights of the scholars, the parents, the children, and one I think most people will definitely attend, which is the rights of the husband and the wife. Okay, so inshallah, if you want to learn about that, make sure you come, inshallah.
No right from the husband. Only wife is that.
If there's no time, then we'll just do the husband. Just listen to a few announcements.
Please don't forget to scan the barcode, okay, for your attendance. So you'll be getting the e-certificate based on that.
Yeah.
Where is the?